Cars and motorbikes pass by on a busy street in front of the entrance to Jongaya Village in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. Black text on a yellow screen reads, Jongaya Village is one of the few leprosy settlements that still exist in Indonesia today. In the past, people with leprosy were forcibly quarantined, but today no one is compelled to live in Jongaya. Many decide to move here after experiencing discrimination in their own communities. Rahimi Daigrani, an Indonesian man who has experienced leprosy, wearing a gray shirt and a red prayer cap, speaks to camera.
My parents used to live in a ward, when there was a ward at Jongaya Hospital.
A group of men sit outside of a building.
When I was in elementary school, I had white stripes on my thighs and arms. At that time, my parents said, you have to go for treatment because you have white stripes. Well, from there, I was immediately taken to the health center by my parents.
An orange cat sits in a narrow alleyway between houses.
I entered here in Jongaya. I am happy because everyone is nice and friendly. We are the same people with disabilities. There's no interference.
A woman walks down an alleyway lined with laundry hung up to dry. A child waves to her from a window.
But if we go out on the street, many cars don't want to take us people with visible disabilities.
A screenshot of a news article with the headline, Stigma and Discrimination are still challenges for leprosy elimination in Indonesia.
Mine aren't visible, but the visible ones, they are not allowed.
A telephone pole with many wires from nearby houses.
I prefer to be here because people from outside are dared enough already to enter here.
A motorbike passes through an alleyway.
It's not the same as in the past. In the past, people outside did not want to come here because in the past, people were very discriminatory.
An arch over the entrance to Jongaya Village.
We can say that Jongaya has a history too. That's why the very outside gate, all the people here forbid its demolition because it shows the year Jongaya was founded.
Children play outside a two-story house overlooking a canal. Qadri, an Indonesian activist and a person who has experienced leprosy, sits on a couch speaking to camera.
I was in this leprosy complex because of the stigma and discrimination against people who have leprosy. It was about 20 years ago. The stigma was still very vicious, very strong. So that if there is a family member experiencing leprosy, that person is banished from the family.
A rock hangs from a string tied to a telephone wire.
A house is made for that person, or that person is separated from the family. Hence, I took the initiative to leave my family since people believed that leprosy was a disgrace. If you had a family member with leprosy, no one would propose to the women in that family, and the proposal from the men in that family would not be accepted. That made me decide to be in this complex. I left my family.
A pan across a cement-floored, one-room apartment. A girl wearing a red shirt sits on a small bed in the corner.
After I decided to leave my family, I was looking for a village that suited me.
A man walks down an alleyway.
I went to several villages. I am from Lerong, Bone district. I went to some places in Pare city and some other villages. Those places, however, did not offer job opportunities that I felt were suitable, as there were only farming and making red bricks there. With hands like mine, working to make red bricks, they would end up ruining the bricks.
A man rides a motorbike attached to a food cart around a corner.
Now I'm finally at Jongaya here. I got a job as a parking attendant. That made me interested to stay here in Jongaya.
Traffic passes across a low bridge over a canal.
When I was here at the beginning, there were those that required much focus. There were many of them. There were 500 experiencing leprosy and suffering from organ damage or disability like me. There were many like that. But as time goes, the elderly passed away. The ones with disability did too.
yang sudah tua meninggal, yang ada disabilitasnya juga sudah meninggal.
A pan across a cemetery with cement headstones. A close-up of the inscriptions on 2 headstones.
So what we see now is the percentage with organ damage or disability is already quite small.
Disabilitas itu sudah sangat kecil. Kalau saya tidak
If I'm not mistaken, there are around 200 who experience organ damage like I do, but the number who have experienced leprosy is still high. There are around 450 people, but compared to the population here, it's a small number. There are already 1,300 people here.
A food cart drives down a dirt street. Potted plants and parked motorbikes sit outside the buildings.
informasi belum sampai ke masyarakat.
People are not yet given the right information about this disease. That's why many people who experience leprosy tend to hide themselves. When one experiences leprosy, that person hides, not getting treatment. So that person is very likely to infect others.
A woman and a child sit on the side of an alleyway.
Orang awam itu kan mereka
Common people identify leprosy like this, saying leprosy means curly fingers, shortened fingers, a body full of wounds, legs full of wounds, monster faces, etc., etc.
A pan across a canal lined by small metal-roofed buildings.
That is nothing but misunderstanding, as leprosy is actually a very simple disease. It is indeed contagious, but it's also the most difficult to spread.
yang paling sulit untuk menular.
A photo of leprosy scars on a shoulder.
Kusta ini hanya
Leprosy actually starts from patches on your skin as well as some numbness. That's the start. But as the patches are not itchy or something like that, many people ignore these patches. They don't care. With the bacteria found behind these patches, the ones that eat away the existing nerves.
Kuman yang ada di balik bercak itu yang menggorokoti saraf-saraf yang ada.
A rusty bicycle sits on top of the roof of a small house.
Saya di sini berhadapan.
I'm here, face to face with everyone here. If my bacteria were still active, surely that would have infected my friends. How many in the room are infected? But who can catch it? That chance is very small.
Itu yang sangat kecil.
A pan across a small room with 3 wooden beds.
Pertama-tama
First, there has to be more exposure. That's how the public can really understand this disease.
Traffic passes by the entrance to Jongaya Village.
That's the first thing, to realize what it is. To reduce problems with this disease, that's the most important thing.
Itu yang paling utama.
Then, involve those who have experienced leprosy. If they don't want to, we demand them to be involved and testify, to create public awareness that there's nothing to fear from this disease, that this can be fully cured.
Ditakuti bahwa betul-betul bisa disembuhkan.
Text on black screen reads, Copyright 2022 HWDI, all rights reserved. Made with support from the Disability Justice Project and the Disability Rights Fund.